Hello, I'm Daniel Garretts. I'm the rabbi of Mayan, a partnership minyan in West Orange, New Jersey. Mayan is well known for West Orange's world's best vegetarian cholent, hands down, which we serve every time we meet at Kiddush during the winter, generally from Sukkot through Pesach. A number of people attend Mayan solely because of the high quality cholent that we serve at our Kiddush and miss the fact that since we meet not every week, that they cannot have this cholent every week. And they have asked me to share the recipe for the cholent so that they can make it at home and enjoy it on weeks when we do not meet. I'm going to demonstrate how that cholent is made today, and this is my first attempt at making a cooking video, so please bear with me, and we're going to move the camera around. Hopefully you won't get seasick. I'm going to move the camera here to point at the counter so that you can watch what I'm doing, and we'll see how it works. What I've done is I have already sliced 2 onions and 3 ribs of celery. And the next item that I need to prepare is a number of cloves of garlic. The recipe calls for 2 cloves of garlic. They vary in size depending on what season it is and what kind of garlic you buy from the store. These are relatively small cloves, so I'm going to use 4, but you can vary the amount of garlic that you use depending on how much you like garlic. Since I've been cooking since I was a teenager, one of the infuriating things about garlic is getting this peel, this paper off the outside. So I'm going to demonstrate an easy way to do that. If you've seen this before, you'll be familiar with it. If you haven't seen it before, this is a great trick to be able to use because you can peel garlic 1, 2, 3. And it involves essentially taking the knife, placing it flat against the garlic, and giving it a bang like that. We'll do all 4. And after you do that, it's really easy to take, pretty easy, to take the paper off the garlic and have the garlic separate, because when you mash the garlic, the paper remains intact and it loosens from the garlic. I'm doing this on YouTube, and so my capabilities of being able to stop and start the video in the middle are a little bit limited. So I'm going to let you watch while I putter around with this. Now I have this garlic peeled, and I'm going to now just cut off the ends. And I'm going to quickly just mince the garlic. This is going to be sauteed, so it doesn't have to be fine or uniform. You just don't want these huge pieces of garlic in your cholent. So it doesn't have to be a perfect job. Just give it a quick mince and you're set. What I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to take the onions and the garlic, and I'm going to saute them for about 10 minutes in some olive oil with a little bit of sea salt. You can use any type of olive oil, or really you can use canola oil if you prefer. With olive oil, it's generally pointless to be using something like extra virgin olive oil if you're going to be cooking. Extra virgin olive oil is generally used for its flavor, and when you heat it and use it to saute things, you lose the flavor, so there's not a point in using extra virgin olive oil. So I'm just using regular, plain old Kirkland refined olive oil. It actually has some extra virgin olive oil mixed in. It's a more economical choice if you do a lot of cooking and you use olive oil. I'm going to pause the video at this point, and I'm going to saute this, and then once we have it sauteed and we have the other ingredients ready to go, I'll show you how to assemble the cholent. Okay, I'm back. While the onions, celery, and garlic were being sauteed, I took the opportunity to prep all the other ingredients, go to a meeting, and also change into this chef jacket and hat an important and indispensable ingredient in making a good cholent is wearing a good chef jacket and hat. I'm going to grab the onions and garlic that I sauteed, and let's move this camera down again. Prepare for seasickness. Just saute it until it's translucent and soft, and I'm going to put it in the bottom of this crock pot. Let's scrape it all in. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 can of kidney beans that I drained and rinsed, a half a cup of barley, 2 carrots that I peeled and sliced, and 2 large potatoes. When you peel potatoes, they have a tendency to oxidize, so don't peel them too soon before you need to use them. I actually peeled these potatoes about an hour ago before I had a meeting. If you find that you have peeled potatoes and you're not able to use them right away, you can put them in a bowl of cold water, which will prevent them from oxidizing. Just make sure if they're cut that you drain most of the water off if you're making a cholent, because if you have extra water in the cholent, it's going to be too soupy. You can cut these potatoes up into relatively large chunks. These are large potatoes, so I'm going to cut them into 8ths and just throw them in on top of everything else. Now, the last thing, after all of these ingredients are in, are the spices. So the recipe that I use calls for some salt, and you don't have to be exact here. I don't know the exact amount, but maybe about half a teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of regular paprika, sweet paprika, 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. Smoked paprika was kind of the in thing a couple of years ago, and it gives a good flavor. It's made by smoking the peppers over a smoky fire before making the paprika. And some pepper, generous amount, a bay leaf, and the recipe also calls for soup cubes. I'm using these Telma beef flavor stock cubes. These are pareve because they're beef flavor. You can also use the chicken cubes, but then be aware that you're not going to be making vegetarian cholent because the chicken cubes are actually made with real chicken and they're meat. So be careful when buying these broth cubes that you buy pareve ones. Or you can use water and salt. I think these contain a small amount of MSG. If you don't want MSG in your cholent, you can use water and salt. Maybe add a little soy sauce for umami to the liquid that you're putting in. Now, I like these to be able to dissolve easily. I don't want this big cube in the middle of my cholent, so I use this hammer for pounding meat to basically pulverize these. Generally, when I do it, I just put the package on the counter because I know the amount of pressure to apply to be able to break it up, but not to have it explode all over the kitchen. What I did here was I put them in a Ziploc bag, which is a safer way of making sure that you don't make a big mess. And you just bang them, they're pulverized, and dump them in. The last ingredient that I put in is a secret, actually not the last, but close to the last ingredient that I put in, is a secret ingredient. We do not like the burnt taste that you get with most cholents. And we found over many years that if we put just a little shake of cayenne pepper in whatever we're making in the crock pot, that it will not materially affect the taste. You're not going to have guests running to the sink or gulping down water from a water pitcher, yet it does have some sort of an antioxidant property which keeps the cholent from tasting as burnt as it would taste otherwise. When I'm done with that, what I do is I take 4 cups of water that I've heated. I heated this in the microwave. If you don't have a microwave or you don't want to use a microwave, use your urn that you set up for Shabbat or boil it on a stove. 4 cups of hot water. I pour it in on top. And then I take a vegetarian kishka, which I purchased, and you remove the plastic wrap and you also move the paper wrap on it, and just put it in on top. Cover it and put it on the crock pot, and you'll have a piping hot, yummy, totally vegetarian cholent tomorrow morning on Shabbat. As far as the kishka is concerned, it's generally easier to unwrap and peel. They come frozen, and if you let it thaw a little bit, it's a little bit easier to handle. That's really it. Most of the complicated work is the prep of the onion and the garlic and the carrot and the potatoes. The rest of it comes together really quickly, really easily, and it's a really tasty vegetarian cholent. The other ingredient that you need to make sure that you add is love. Love is very important in anything that you're cooking to make it taste good. I wish you b'tei avon, and I also wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. I will post a copy of the recipe on the Mayan website so that you have it. Shabbat Shalom.